Today, I'm proud to provide you an update on North Shore Uranium. We're a brand new company that just went public on November 2nd, 2023. And we're in the process right now of mobilizing for our first drill program on our Falcon project, where in the Athabasca Basin, where we will be drilling 3 EM targets. If we're ever going to seriously address climate change, we do need more nuclear power, and that's going to require a lot of uranium. So discovering a high-grade uranium deposit will be very valuable. This is our forward-looking statement, and I will be making some forward-looking statements in this presentation. We think Saskatchewan is the best place in the world for uranium exploration, development, and mining. Canada's two active uranium mines, McArthur River and Cigar Lake, are located at the eastern end of the basin, and the production from those two mines put Canada as the second leading uranium producer in the world, behind Kazakhstan. Just late last year, NextGen's Arrow deposit, which is located in the western end of the Athabasca Basin, was given its development permits from the Saskatchewan government, and it's the first permits they've issued for a uranium mine in over 20 years. And there's a lot of exploration going on in the basin as well, a lot of activity, which I'll go into a little bit in a minute. And this year, uranium crossed, as we all know, $100 US a pound for the first time since 2007. People or the general public is starting to realize, and most importantly, accept that we are going to need more nuclear power if we're ever going to reduce carbon emissions, and a lot of uranium will be required for that. A real important development was at the COP28 meeting in Dubai in early December. There was a declaration signed by over 20 countries, including the US and Canada, to work towards tripling nuclear power generation. Again, a lot of uranium required for that, and a new high-grade discovery would have a lot of value. We have a really good team. I've been most of my career for the last 25 years, I've been working in northern Canada in jurisdictions similar to Saskatchewan, and I was fortunate to lead teams that made two significant diamond discoveries, Renard in Quebec and Chidliak in Nunavut. One of our directors, Jimmy Tom, was the exploration manager for Paladin Energy, and he has deep uranium experience. Blake Steele is an advisor to the company and a key member of the team. He was a CEO of Azarga Uranium, who had ISR uranium assets in the western United States, and they sold the company to Encore Energy for $200 million. We have 36.8 million shares outstanding and a market cap of about $5.3 million. So I think we represent good value for an investor wanting exposure to grassroots exploration. We completed our first financing in November 2023, and we raised $2.3 million, so we are fully funded for the drill program we're mounting right now. And importantly, insiders, management and directors, plus 3 founding investors that are not insiders, own 45% of the issued and outstanding stock. This is a map of the Athabasca Basin that shows active mining claims in purple. You can see it's amazing the extent of staking right now. And since this map was made, there was a whole bunch of land staked to the northeast of the basin. A lot of activity out there. People are drilling holes out in the middle of the basin as deep as 1,000 meters. Earlier this week, Canalaska made an announcement where they hit 13% uranium in a hole down at 800 meters. So looking for that high grade at depth. The uranium mines and mills are shown as red squares on this map. Ore from Cigar Lake is processed at the McLean Lake Mill, and ore from McArthur River is processed at Key Lake. Our 2 properties, Falcon in blue and West Bear in orange, are at the eastern margin of the basin. This cartoon is a model of typical uranium mineralization in the Athabasca Basin, and it's from the Key Lake mine, which is now closed, but it's 35 kilometers west of our Falcon property. Typically, ore-forming fluids mobilize up basement faults and structures, and often they can pool at the base of the sandstone or the unconformity, and the sandstone is shown in yellow. At Falcon, the sandstone's all been eroded, so we are looking for basement structures like shown in red, which typically are associated with EM conductors. This is a map of our property. The 4 claims shown in blue are 12,800 hectares, and they're owned 100% by us. The other 11 claims are subject to an option agreement with Sky Harbor Resources, where we have an option to earn an 80% interest for total consideration of $5.3 million before the end of October 2026. And very importantly, the 3.5 million of that is exploration expenditures, and the deal is back-end loaded. We only have a total commitment of $1 million before November 30th of this year, and that includes $500,000 of exploration, $350,000 of stock, and $150,000 in cash, and we're well on our way to meeting that commitment. This map shows active uranium explorers near Falcon in the different colors you can see in the legend. It's a very active neighborhood, and importantly, there were 2 significant grassroots discoveries made by Baseload and GMZ at Akio and Baseload and 92 Energy at Akio and GMZ, respectively, 40 kilometers northeast of the property. They had intersections of 1% uranium, and they're expanding the footprint of those discoveries right now by drilling. And Atha Energy, probably the largest landholder in the basin, is acquiring 92 Energy in their GMZ deposit. This is a sign of merger and acquisition activity in the uranium sector in Saskatchewan. We have excellent geophysical data to work with at Falcon, which is very important when you're looking to discover uranium deposits. In 2006, 2007, and 2013, there were modern mag EM surveys flown over the property, with the outlines of which are shown in blue, purple, and red. In 2022, we flew an airborne gravity radiometric survey over our 100% claims, and almost at about the same time, Sky Harbor flew a similar survey over their claims, and you can see the outlines of those 22 surveys in black. And this new gravity and radiometric data was something that the previous operators in the area did not have the access to, so we think it enhances our interpretation of the EM and gives us a little bit of an edge. This map shows well-defined EM conductors in red and historical drill holes as green circles, and also select uranium occurrences as purple circles. There have been 50 holes drilled to date on the property, with 28 since between 1969 and 2008, and 28 of those holes were drilled in 2008 by JNR Resources. Their best intersection was 0.35% uranium at the EWA showing, and during that program, they discovered the Zone B deposit just off our property, and for the next few years, they spent all their time focused there, and they ultimately defined a uranium resource of about 7 million pounds of uranium. But then the downturn in the uranium sector hit in 2011, and they did not continue with the rest of their exploration on the property. And that's what we're intending to do, use all this wonderful data and taking into account the potential and everything else to continue where they left off and hopefully make a discovery. The area we're focusing on for our March drill program is outlined with the purple circle, and we plan to drill 3 targets, and those targets are shown in the green circles. And we started with about 20 potential targets, and we prioritized them using a number of factors, including the strength and character of the EM conductor, potential structures that can be shown in the magnetics. We evaluated the gravity and the radiometrics, and gravity lows not associated with lakes can often indicate alteration that could be associated with a uranium deposit. And also we took into account the ground conditions and how to set up for a drill, and it not being in a lake, because we can't drill in a lake in this program. And one thing I want to emphasize is that these 3 targets that we plan to drill are really just the beginning. There's a lot of other target zones on the property that really require more evaluation and ultimately drilling, and those are outlined in green. Before I go on to say a little more about the drill program, I just want to describe the process we went through to evaluate our 100% owned claims. And it's a similar process we used at our West Bear property, 90 kilometers to the northeast. This shows the 4 claims with a gravity background map. We engaged Condor Consulting, and they looked at the published EM and MAG data, and they picked 7 target zones, which are outlined in red. Earthfield Technologies, based in Houston, then threw gravity and radiometrics into the mix, and they picked 24 uranium prospects, and their prospects and the Condor zones overlap in 5 areas, and the first 6 targets that we plan to address here are shown as red stars on this map. So back to the drill program. This shows the EM on the Sky Harbor option claims, and the area that we plan to focus our drilling is outlined by the red box. You can see very strong, dominantly northeast trending EM conductor system. We really like the conductor system to the west of where we're going to be drilling, and we plan to evaluate that in the future. You can see it's cut and interfered with by a power line, which shows up as quite a dramatic conductor on this map. And the power line is shown to the left in that photograph, and what that photograph says to me is it'd be a great place to find a mine. We got power right there. This is a close-up of the EM with our 3 priority targets shown as green circles, and you can see pretty strong EM signature. And when we whittle down our targets to the priority targets, we do a process called Maxwell modeling using EMIT software, which allows us to model the conductor as plates, which really optimizes our drill collar locations. Okay. This is a map of total field magnetics, again showing 3 priority targets, and often basement structural corridors can be magnetic lows, and you can see that our three targets kind of lie in a magnetic low zone. This is the first derivative magnetics, which accentuates the structures in a different way. And again, you can see our 3 targets kind of lie in a magnetic low zone, which again can be indicative of a structural corridor. And this map just shows that as small cream-colored diamonds, the 20 targets that we evaluated come up with our top 5. And the top 5 are labeled. And that photograph on the left was just taken a week ago. You can see what it looks like now out there. And you can see the trace of the power line on the map. So that's it for Falcon, and we're excited to go drilling on Falcon, and we think we have a chance to make a discovery and add value to the company. Now I'm quickly going to just go to West Bear, our other property, which is located 90 kilometers to the northeast. West Bear is 4,511 hectares in size, and it's shown in orange on this map. As at Falcon, you can see it's a pretty good neighborhood. There's a significant amount of exploration activity, and including the likes of IsoEnergy, Denison, Standard Uranium, and UEC. 1.5 kilometers to the north of the southern claim block, we have the UEX UEC West Bear deposit, where they have a uranium reserve of 1.4 million pounds of U3O8 and a cobalt nickel resource, really the only declared cobalt nickel resource in the basin. We're earning a 75% interest in the property from Gem Oil for $225,000 cash, 75,000 cash or shares, and $271,000 in work commitments, and we're well over halfway to meeting those commitments. Just like at Falcon in 2022, we flew airborne gravity, radiometrics, and MAG, and this is the radiometrics, and we had both Condor and Earthfield go through this data, and Condor picked the 3 areas outlined with red circles from the published EM and MAG data, and Earthfield picked a number of uranium prospects, and the first targets we're going to go evaluate here are the areas outlined in red, and those overlap with prospects selected by Earthfield in 2 places. This is a map of the magnetics, and you can see the western 2 lie in kind of a magnetic low zone, which could be interpreted as a structural corridor that goes up to the UEC West Bear deposit. And finally, just a summary of the drilling in the area with drill holes as green circles. There have been 16 holes drilled at West Bear, and with the last 4 being drilled in 2015 by Denison. And you can see our 3 targets are at the west end of the property where there's been no drilling. So we think there's a potential Denison could have missed something. So to close, this chart just shows a history of the company. We formed as a private company in 2022, acquired our first West Bear and Falcon properties in 2022, flew airborne surveys over them in late 2022, went public in early November of 2023, and now we're mounting our first drill program, and we think that's just the beginning. We have a lot of other exploration to do, so thank you for your attention and stay tuned.